The origins of Fuerza Latina. Fuerza Latina did not come from nowhere. It had a beginning and it was justified. And it all starts with the inequality that you find in the U.S., which causes uh, ethnic groups to be marginalized and ghettos to be formed. And it started in an era where there was the movement against the Vietnam War. You had the Black Panthers on the upsurge. You had the American Indian movement which represented a whole ethnic awareness, and you had the Young Lords uh, preaching ethnic pride. And in Puerto Rico, you had an upsurge of the new left, of the new independence movement. All this on the one hand, and you have that glass of milk representing Albany. You had an all-white university, an all-white university that had to diversify itself, that had to include more non-white students. It was demanded. It was being forced to desegregate itself, and that's why you had Puerto Ricans and blacks coming in, and the organizations that were formed were reflective of that militancy that was being seen in the communities. And this is a logo of the first Puerto Rican organization, Prole, which reflected a political organization, a militant organization. But at the same time, there were Puerto Ricans who were not militant, who were not political, and they felt marginalized by Prole. And so that's why you had a new movement coming in, Borican Enlightenment, which was much more loose. It was a counterpart to the structure and to the politicalness of Prole. And this actually Borinquen Enlightenment was like the midpoint between that strong militant organization Prole and Fuerza Latina, which came out of Borinquen Enlightenment. And Borinquen Enlightenment was able to develop as an organization that catered to different interests, because you had students now coming into Albany that had a club experience, an organizational experience from Aspira, which taught us to have organizations with different interests but yet organized together. So you had Fuerza Latina organized, and from its beginning we grew because there was adversity all around us. We had the struggle for the Puerto Rico Studies Department. We had a struggle with the EOPSA organization, which was an umbrella group for the third world organizations, theoretically, in Albany. And we had struggles with the Central Student Organization. Concerning the Puerto Rican studies, basically it was an act of affirmation on our part to create Puerto Rican studies. Puerto Rican studies departments were being created wherever Puerto Ricans were on different campuses around the United States, and we were part of that movement to create awareness among ourselves and to have other people aware of who we are. Concerning our struggles with the EOPSA, the EOPA student organization, this was an organization that was basically run by blacks, and they had little understanding of Latinos. They didn't understand our different ways of looking at people, not necessarily through color, but through ethnicity. And they felt that they could represent us because they were the third world organization and they saw everything in terms of black and white. And we had problems because they wanted to use our monies to organize activities for us, and we said no. We wanted our monies to use for us to organize our own events. And they didn't give us the money, and we refused to go with them, and we had to basically run our organization, Fuerza Latina, without money for a year. But we did this for dignity. We did this to show them that we are not part of that black movement, but we can be in solidarity with them. But we were a different group. And our struggle with the Central Student Council was anti-racism uh, movement on our part. This was a time when mass culture was being proposed, and that as mass culture, every once in a while a Latin song couldn't be aired on the radio, and every once in a while an article could come out concerning Latinos in the student press, and there was no need for programming that was with Latin music, and there was no need theoretically for Fuerza Latina newspapers, and we fought against this mass culture ideology, and because we wanted to affirm ourselves that we believed in diversity, not necessarily in melting ourselves into a dominant society, which eventually what it would do would be to liquidate us as ethnic groups. So basically, the organization Fuerza Latina started out as an organization to give and take. We were given the opportunity to study and to diversify Albany, and we took advantage and we studied and we graduated, giving this an opportunity to other Latinos to come in. They came in because we were successful, and it's important now to give back, to be successful in your studies, and at the same time give back to that community which caused society, which caused the university to open up. And you have to give back to those struggles, to those communities in struggle, because it's morally right to give what we were given, which was opportunities. And I think one of the great ways that we can contribute is with this Latin American understanding that of class. We understand class better than apparently the North American and the black populations, and we have to support these movements that are for economic equality and are against economic injustices, and it's our right to be able to contribute from the university to these communities, and it's our obligation to do so. We were given the opportunity, and it's up to us to give other opportunities to other students.